in verse 13. Do not let any part of your body become an instrument of evil to serve sin. Instrument, what does that word mean? It's not musical, it's a tool. That's what that word means. It's a tool to accomplish something with. By the way, you can find this particular Greek word translated as weapon elsewhere in the scripture, which is a good one. That don't let your body be a weapon. In other words, your body can be a weapon in the hand of the enemy. What is the purpose of the body for a Christ follower? Romans 12 tells us, right? Romans 12 tells us the purpose of your body as a child of God is to offer it as worship. To offer it as a living sacrifice. Living sacrifice. You know what a living sacrifice does, by the way? It keeps getting up and crawling off the altar. A living sacrifice doesn't like to be sacrificed. That's why Paul said, I die daily. This is a daily routine for the child of God. It means that every day we put our flesh on the altar and we submit it to the will of God. And if we don't, our bodies can be used as a weapon in the hands of the devil. And giving into sin, by the way, is not passive. It is active. We think we fall into sin at times as the children of God. That's not true. You don't just walk around and go, whoops, I did it again. That should be a lyric in a song, shouldn't it? It takes active, I know it is. It was a joke. It was a joke. It takes active participation of our will to do it. To sin as the children of God. Here's how James puts it, by the way. And you ought to study this diatribe that James gives us, where he says temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. It's like a trap, right? That these desires give birth to sinful actions. And when sin is allowed to grow, it gives birth. It gives birth to what? It gives birth to death. In other words, these are not passive actions. They are active. We participate in this journey or it doesn't happen, right? And the temptations on the outside that we face are not powered from the outside of us. The temptations that are on the outside of us play on the desires that are within us. That's what makes them temptations, right? And so we are tempted and our desires inside of us kick in and the engine starts to rev and the motor starts to run, which is why it is so incredibly important to kill those desires daily. You got to put them in check. But if we give in to them, they will drag us away. And not only will they drag us away, they will give birth. Birth to what? Not thoughts. Those are already there. They're already there. Not more desires. Those are already there. Not new ideas. Those are already there. That they will give birth to actions, to sinful behavior. And if we don't keep them in check and nip them in the bud, they will grow into behaviors in our lives. And so in verse 12, Paul said, don't give in to evil desires, right? We just looked at that a moment ago. In verse 6, he says, sin no longer has a power over us. Hear me. Sin gains power in your life in more than one way. In more than one way, it gains power in your life. The obvious power of sin is in its allurement, right? And its attractiveness, that we get that. It looks good, that's why we go there, because there's an allurement to it. It's attractive, it's tempting. It wouldn't be tempting, by the way, if there was nothing alluring about it. It wouldn't be a temptation for us. In fact, I read Genesis and think all the time, I've never been one time tempted by an apple. That's not the temptation for me as an apple. The point is not the apple. The point is it is enticing, something that is enticing for you. The power of sin, by the way, also is in the destruction of guilt. Because when you believe you are a sorry, no good son of a gun, you will act like it. And the guilt will kill you. And there's a power of sin in the destruction of guilt. The allurement, hear me, is the bait. The guilt is the hook. And when that hook is set, it takes real work to get it out. Real work.